Okay, well, welcome. Thank you, Gail. Appreciate that. Um, Welcome to class, everyone. Hi, Jason here, and welcome. This is our Vinyasa Flow Level 1 class. Today is Monday, July the 13th, 2020. The time is just a few minutes past 6 a.m. And so nice to have you all here. So, welcome to practice today, Gail and Aunt Dawn. So nice to have you here. And we're going to begin our practice today. So we're going to begin lying down on our backs. Knees are going to be bent, feet are going to be hips width distance apart, and just begin to find your way into your breath. And I will be joining you as well for today's class. So without further ado, let us begin. And so once again, you'll find your way onto your back, and you'll see that your knees are bent and your feet are hips width distance apart. So, as you breathe here, this is a great way to start our yoga practice because we can begin to observe our body and our breath here. So, allow both your shoulders to release down to the mat. One thing that you could do here is you could take your palms down to the mat, grab hold of the outer sides of the mat, and roll your left upper arm underneath and roll your right upper arm underneath. And then turn your palms up towards the ceiling. So this is a great way to just naturally open up our chest and our heart and just allow your breath to continue here naturally, long and slow. Good. And you could begin to incorporate the Uja breathing technique if you'd like, which is simply allowing that breath to travel across the nose and out through the nose with a slight movement of air across the throat. So it almost gives us the reminder of our breath as if you were to be fogging up a window, maybe you would breathe on that window and then you breathe in exactly the same way and then just keep your mouth closed but keep that sound moving in and out through the nostrils. So that is the common or the often thought of Ujjayi breathing technique. Good. And then from here, as you feel ready, take your right knee, hug your right knee into the chest, and grab hold of the top of your right knee. So as you continue to breathe here, rock your right knee out and bring your right knee back into center. And rock your right knee out and bring your right knee back into center. And one more time, rock your right knee out and once again, bring your right knee into center. So now you're going to hug your left knee this time as you release your right foot on down. So the left knee moves out and the left knee moves back to center. Left knee moves on out and the left knee moves back to center. One more time, the left knee moves on out and the left knee moves back to center. Release that left foot down to the mat. Okay, so grab hold of your strap here. And you're going to take your strap and place it around the top of your right foot. So as you extend your right leg up towards the ceiling now you have a strap to hold on to that foot. And that's really good here. So as you have that strap to hold on to the foot, just continue to breathe. Let your shoulders release down to the mat. See that your toes, your right toes, are moving towards your right knee. So that keeps the back of your right leg long here. Good. And then as you exhale, let's bend that right knee. Take the right foot down to the mat. And then taking this time your left foot and extending your left leg all the way up towards the ceiling here. And breathing. So as you extend that left leg up towards the ceiling here, just continue to breathe into that leg and allow that breath to be long and slow here. And breathing into the back of that left leg, flexing across the left foot. and allowing your shoulders to release all the way down to the mat. Excellent. And then once again, you'll release that left foot down. Now, we're going to take the right foot in one more time, and this time you'll extend that right leg up towards the ceiling. Now take the left leg and extend the left leg all the way forward here. And breathe here as you extend that left leg all the way forward. Flex across your right foot. And then begin to just allow the right leg to move out towards the right. One thing that you could do here is you could take both sides of the strap into that right hand as you press your left thigh on down towards the mat. Now inhale back to center, bring the left knee back to a bend. You're going to bend the right knee into the chest once again and release that right foot on down. Let's do the same with the left leg. So we'll take the left foot, you'll draw the left foot on in, you'll lift the left leg up towards the ceiling here as you breathe. And then from here you'll take both sides of the strap into the left hand. Now, extend your right leg fully. You have the option to do that. And then, if you'd like, you can just bring your left leg any amount out to your left side. However much doesn't matter, but you just want to see that your left leg is moving out towards your left. Good. Back to center with the left leg. Bend that right knee. Release the strap from the left leg as you take the left foot down to the mat. And then hug both knees into the chest. As you hug both knees into the chest, just start to rock those hips right and left a few times. And eventually, as you release the feet down onto the mat, you're going to roll over onto your side. Good. Now press down through your fingers. Inhale, begin to peel up that chest. And let's find our way into tabletop pose. So as you feel ready, find your way into tabletop pose. See that the fingers are spread wide apart. See that the knees are about hips width distance apart. And as you inhale here, peel up the chest in your heart. Good, and as you exhale, rounding deeply through the spine. Inhale, peeling up chest and heart. Exhale, rounding deeply through your spine. Wonderful, yogis. Inhale, lengthening chest and heart and sternum on up. And as you exhale, let's find your way into the downward facing dog pose. Press through the fingers. Walk the feet wide apart so the feet are about mats width distance apart this time. And release the head all the way down. Spread your fingers wide. Lift your inner forearms up. Wrap your outer arms in. And eventually walk your hands back towards your feet. Release the heels on down to the mat. Walk the hands on back and breathe here. Good. And then as you feel ready, you could take your hands to the shins. Inhale, lengthen your chest forward and up. And as you exhale, hinging forward and down, releasing your hands all the way down to the mat. Now take your hands to your hips. Inhale, peel your chest on up. Raise your heart towards the ceiling. And as you step forward on your mat, find your way into Tadasana pose. Palms at the top of the mat. Chest is open and breathing here. Okay. So welcome, my friends. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday morning. You could begin to rock your feet forwards and backwards a few times just to get your stability in your pose today. Wonderful. Good. And on an inhalation, take your hands to the center chest. Interlace your fingers. Press your palms forward and up. Raise your arms up towards the ceiling here. So as you exhale here, you're going to begin to round across your spine and release the hands all the way down to the mat. Good. Keep your fingers interlaced. On an inhale, bring your hands towards your shins. Lift the chest up halfway. Use your core strength here. And as you exhale, release the hands back down to the mat. Press through the feet. Use your core strength. Light bend in the knees. Inhale. Raise the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, glide the fingers down to the sides. Excellent. We're going to do that again, except take your fingers and cross them the opposite way. Interlace your fingers. Press your palms forward. On an inhalation, raise your arms up towards the ceiling here. And as you exhale, hinge at those hips and take the arms all the way down and forward towards the mat. Now take your hands to the shins. Inhale, peel your chest on up. Bend those knees lightly. And as you exhale, hinging deeply and releasing those hands down to the mat. Inhale, raising those arms up towards the ceiling, using your core strength here, your belly, raising those arms on up. Exhale, bringing those hands back down to the sides of the body. One more time, this time without fingers interlaced. Inhale, raise your arms on up. Look up towards the fingers. And as you exhale here, hinge and fold, release the hands down to the earth. Inhale, lengthening chest, heart, and sternum, looking on up. And as you exhale, hinging deeply, releasing the hands back down to the earth. Inhale, raising those arms up towards the ceiling, lengthening through those fingers. Palms touch. Exhale, gliding those fingers out to the sides. Tadasana pose. All right, let's take our hands to our hips and step our feet wide apart. So see that your feet are at least 3 to 4 feet apart, and keep your hands on your hips for the moment. Now, press down through your feet, press down through your heels, and on an inhalation, take your arms out to your sides. As you take your arms out to your sides, you're going to turn your palms to face one another. You're going to draw your fingers in. And as you exhale, turn your palms away and draw your chest forward. Good. On an inhale, draw your fingers forward towards one another, round the upper spine. That's it. And as you exhale, spread across the chest and open up the heart. One more time. Bring those fingers back together. This time, inhale, raise those arms all the way up towards the ceiling. And on an exhale, glide those hands back down and bring the hands back to the hips. Now turn your feet to the right side of the room. And now take your blocks. Even before we do that, turn your feet back in. Take your blocks and place your blocks, both blocks, to either side of the right foot. Now turn your feet over the right side of the room and take your hands over these blocks. Now see that your right heel is in line with the left arch of the foot. Allow your right knee to begin to move towards the right shin here. And as you continue to breathe, see that your right buttocks is moving in towards the body. Now keep your hands on these blocks. As you press down through your feet, inhale, take the blocks on up. Turn your feet back to center. Turn your feet to the other side and release these blocks on down. So one more time, we have a heel to arch alignment in the legs, which means that the left heel lines up to the right arch of the foot. And as you breathe here, draw that left outer hip in. Press through the right pinky toe side of the foot. Glide your right outer hip to meet your left foot. Breathe here as you continue to lengthen your chest. And on an inhalation, lift up through the chest and heart. Turn your feet back to center. Once again, turn your feet over the right side. Okay, so this time, you're going to begin to stack up the blocks on the right side. So maybe 2 blocks, maybe 1 block, and place your left hand on your left hip. You want to see that your weight is in your feet. Even though you're pressing through your hand, you really want to see your weights in your feet because you don't want to feel your body become unbalanced here. So it's important that we stay grounded in our feet even though our chest is lifted. Now, as you press through the feet, can you revolve your chest towards the side of the room? If you start to lose balance in your right hand, just see that you're pressing down through the right fingers. Don't turn your chest up anymore because you don't want to lose your balance. And then from here, look down at that foot again. Release that top block down to the mat. Take your blocks, inhale, lift the chest on up, turn back to center, turn your blocks over to the other side. And once again here, you're going to take your block that was in front of your right hand, you're going to place it under your other block, and then take your right hand to the hip. So this is really just a way for us to train ourselves to be in our feet. Even though we're pressing into that block with the left hand, you're still firmly rooting through your feet. And that's very important here. As you press those feet on down, see if you could revolve your chest up towards the ceiling. See that the belly hugs in. See that that breath remains long and slow. If you lose your balance at all, pause. You don't have to move your chest any amount more, but you want to stay where it's comfortable for you. And then as you feel ready here, you're going to take that block back down to the mat. Take your blocks, inhale, lift the chest on up, spin back to center. Once again, spin those blocks over to the other side. Place those blocks on down. Now take your hands to your hips this time. Bend deeply into that right knee and pause here. Just see that that right knee is bending over the foot. See that the right knee is over the right heel. See that the left heel is pressing down. Straighten across that right leg. Let's do that again. Bend deeply into that right knee and pause. So as we do this, we're starting to train ourselves to be more in our legs. And that's really important in yoga, especially in the very beginning. They teach the students to be in their legs because a lot of times we're in our mind. So when we're in our legs, we could be more in reality. We could be more paying attention to the ground, the root of the floor. You could be paying attention to the legs, and then straighten that leg. One more time, bend deeply into that right knee. This time, place your right forearm on top of that right thigh. So this is side angle pose. And many of you guys have done this before. The right knee is bent, both feet are pressing down, chest is spinning towards the ceiling here. And we're breathing. And as we're breathing, we continue to open that chest and heart and sternum all the way up. Good, as you continue to breathe here, lengthen the left fingers up towards the ceiling and spin the left palm up and over the head. Glide the left fingers so that the left arm is extended all the way over the head and keep that right knee bent. Allow that left heel to press on down. Allow that right knee to bend to 90 degrees. And again, extend that left arm up towards the ceiling here. Let the left arm lift us up and out of the pose and take our hands to the hips one more time. Let's take our blocks once again. Let's bring them to center. And let's bring them over to the other side. All right. Hands come to the hips once again. Bend deeply into that left knee this time. Good. So the left knee bends right over the left heel. And as you breathe here, the left buttocks hugs in. Straighten across that left leg. Bend deeply into that knee, maybe incorporating a little smile, and see that the feet are pressing down. Good, once again, straighten across that left leg. One more time, bend deeply into that left knee, take the left forearm, place it on top of the thigh, press that right heel down. Breathe here as you revolve your chest towards the ceiling. Allow that right heel to press on down. Allow the left buttocks to draw on in. And begin to revolve here. Lifting up through the chest, the heart, the sternum. Good. And then as you feel ready here, inhale. Begin to lift that chest on up. Come back up. Straighten through that leg. And let's bring the blocks back into the right side. Okay. Now, we're going to spin our feet back to center and take a step back to the center of the room for a moment here. Take your hands to your hips, bend into that left knee, and spin your left heel to the right ankle. Bring your hands into the center chest. So, one more time, let's interlace the fingers here. Let's take the palms forward in front of us and raise our fingers up towards the ceiling. So this is tree pose with bound fingers. That's a variation of tree pose. See that that belly is hugging in. See that that breath is long and slow here. See that you continue to rotate your outer arms towards your inner arms. And as you exhale, hands come in through the center chest and release that left heel on down. Right knee comes to a bend. Right heel comes to the left shin. Interlace the fingers here. So just move the fingers one finger over. Press your palms forward in front of you. Raise your arms all the way up towards the ceiling here. See that that right heel moves into the left shin. See that the buttocks moves towards the heels. And continue to breathe here. Allowing the openness of the chest, the heart, the sternum. Amazing. So as you feel ready here, you'll take those hands into the center chest. You'll release the hands to the hips, and you'll glide that right leg on down. One more time. Let's step our feet on out. Let's spin our feet over to the right side. And this time, you're going to bend deeply into that right knee. Good. Now take your right forearm, place it on your right thigh one more time. And now, this is how you move into another variation of the pose. You can take your right hand and place it on the block in front of the leg. Now, if you do this and you start to find that becomes very challenging for you, that's okay. Just place your right forearm back on top of the thigh. So you don't want to kind of overly put too much pressure on the right hip, but if it feels okay for you, then this is a little bit stronger of a pose. Now take your left hand and extend your left arm up and over your head. Keep pressing through the left foot here. Keep breathing as you lengthen across the chest. Inhale, float that left arm back up. Lift both arms up, warrior two pose, and then straighten into that leg. Now let's take our blocks, take our hands to the blocks, release the head on down for a moment, breathe here. Then lift the blocks on up, come back to center, spin to the other side of the mat. One more time, hands come to the hips. Inhale, lift the chest on up. And then you'll bend deeply into that left knee. So start by taking your left forearm and placing it on the thigh. This is like how we teach to get into this pose. So now, if you'd like, you could take your left hand and place it inside the leg on that block. The left buttocks moves to center. The right foot presses on down. Inhale, float the right arm up. Now take the right fingers, glide the right fingers over your head, and breathe here as you spin the right fingers down to the mat. See that that left hip draws in. See that the right fingers begin to revolve down towards the mat here. Inhale, float the right arm up. Let the right arm raise up towards the ceiling, warrior two pose, and straighten across that leg. Hands come to the hips. You can move the blocks out of the way for a moment. Hands come to the hips, and step your feet back to center once again. So one more time, we're going to come to tree pose. Your hands come to the hips. This time, start with bending the right knee. If you want to practice, you can see if you could take your right foot and place it on your left shin. So this is like the next stage of tree pose. Hands come into the center chest. Interlace the fingers here. Press your palms forward in front of you. Raise your arms all the way up towards the ceiling. So with the balance, press down through those left toes. Firm the belly in and breathe here. Hands come to the center chest, release that foot on down. So we bring our hands to our hips once again. We bend into that left knee, we spin that left heel in, and then we lift the left foot up and place it on the right inner shin. So this is the next phase of the tree pose. Interlace the fingers here, press your palms forward in front of you, and raise your arms all the way up towards the ceiling here. So breathe. Press those feet towards one another. Press the left foot into the right shin. And allow that left buttocks to release on down as you breathe. Good. Taking your hands back into the center chest. Releasing your left foot on down and taking your hands back to your hips. Excellent, yogis. Okay. So from here, we're going to find our way into our downward facing dog pose once again. So move these blocks out to the sides for a moment, and you're just going to find your way. You actually take them forward on your mat, so just place them at the front of your mat and find your way into downward facing dog pose. Good. And walk your feet wider apart and walk your hands wider apart. So this is a really wide downward facing dog pose. And just release the head down here. So downward facing dog is a pose that we take. It's actually both a restful and an active pose at the same time. It's restful in the sense that When we take the downward facing dog, we're able to kind of rest our mind and relax. But it's also active in the way that we're using our arms and our legs to lift up our trunk of the body. So that makes this also an active pose. And when you hold this pose for a little bit of time, you start to feel that activation in the arms, in the legs, in the fingers, and in the feet. Lower the knees down to the mat once again. Turn the fingers in so that the fingers or the wrists are in line with the front of the mat. And on an inhalation, take your left leg back behind you. So we'll extend back through that left leg. We're going to lift up through the left thigh here and breathe as you hug that belly on in. See that your outer upper arms spin in towards one another. Now, release that left leg on down. Take your left knee, press it down. Take your right leg, extend it back. Lift your right leg up behind you. So once again here, you're lengthening across that right leg. The crown of the head is in line with the shoulders. The outer upper arms are revolving in. The belly's tugging in as you draw the pubis in towards the crown of the head. On an exhale, lower that right knee on down. Let's take our blocks. Let's place our blocks to either side of the mat. And let's step our right foot in between our hands. Now, take your strap. And if you need a blanket, place a blanket underneath your left knee. Take your strap and begin to hold on to your strap in between your hands here. This is a little bit of a balance here. Requires a little bit of a balance. Press down through the right foot. Inhale, begin to lift the chest on up. Maybe bring the hands wider apart here. And on an exhale, bring the hands forward in front of you. Good. So once again, inhale, taking those arms all the way up, lifting the chest up, lifting the heart up. And as you exhale, taking the arms all the way in front of you. One more time. Inhale, floating those arms on up, holding onto that strap. See that you're pulling the strap apart on either side. And as you exhale, releasing that strap down to the mat. Now take your hands to these blocks. Press down through your right foot. Press down through your left foot. Inhale, lift up your left leg and come into a forward fold here. So you're on your left ball of the foot. You're leaning forward over your right foot and you're lengthening across your chest here. Keep a light bend in your right knee. Keep a light bend. Not a huge bend, but a light bend. Okay. Walk your left hand a little bit more to center and then take your right hand to the right hip now. Begin to turn your chest over towards the right side of the room any amount here. And release that right hand down to the block once again. Bend the right knee, lower the left leg down to the mat. Now walk your blocks back. Walk your blocks back and straighten your right leg all the way. So your right heel is on the mat, your right toes are off the mat. And as you continue to breathe here, release your head on down. This stretches out the entire back of the right leg. All right, let's walk those blocks on in. Let's take the right knee to a bend and release the right foot on down. Now let's take the left foot, place it on forward. Take your strap this time, grab hold of your strap. And on your next breath, inhale, raise your arms all the way up towards the ceiling here as you hold on to that strap. As you exhale, glide the fingers in front of you and hug that belly on in. On the inhale, raising those arms up towards the ceiling, maybe bringing your hands a little bit wider on that strap, allowing that chest to open on up. And as you exhale, gliding those fingers forward, arms are in line with the shoulders. One more time. Inhale, raise those fingers up, bring the palms up and behind you, lifting through the chest. And as you exhale, releasing your strap all the way to the side. Now, take your hands to these blocks, walk your blocks back to center, tuck your right toes in, begin to lift that right leg on up. Straighten across the left leg this time. So you're on your right ball of the foot. See that you're pressing down through the fingers. See that you're lengthening across your chest here. So this is a variation of pyramid pose. It's a variation. Take your right hand, walk it a little closer to the body. Keep the weight in your right palm. Keep the weight in the right ball of the foot. Press down through the left ball of the foot. Take your left hand to the left hip. turn your chest any amount towards the left side of the room here. Any amount. Good, and then as you exhale, release your left hand down to that block. Release your right knee down to the mat. Walk your blocks on back. Take your left foot. Begin to step your left foot forward and come up onto the left heel of the foot as you walk your fingers forward. Release the head on down. And breathe here. All right, and bringing this left knee back to a bent position. All right, so now what I'd like you to do is have a seat on your block. You can sit on your block, either turn your block, it could be on the lowest setting, it could be on the medium setting, you could stack two blocks on top of one another. There's many variations. So just sit on your block and see that your knees are moving towards one another, but you're sitting on your block. If you could sit on the ground, you can sit on the ground. But for most of us, I think the block is good. I sit on a block, but if you don't want to, that's fine too. All right, so take your hands to the center chest. Interlace your fingers here. Press your palms forward in front of you. Raise your arms all the way up towards the ceiling here. So get really long in the side body. See that your outer upper arms continue to wrap in. See that that belly hugs in and continue to lengthen across the chest. So spread across the fingers here, release the fingers. See that the arms are extended to either side of the mat. Now take your left hand, place your left hand on a block or on the floor, and begin to extend your right arm over the left side of the body. So as you take this posture, take your right hand, place it behind the head, and begin to revolve your chest all the way to that right elbow. Breathe here as you spread across your chest, your heart, and your sternum. Inhale, float the right arm back up. On an exhale, take the right hand, place it over the right side of the room. Place the block over the right side of the room. Take your hands to the center chest, interlace your fingers the opposite way, and press your arms forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, float those arms all the way up. So we take these poses not only to increase some space in between the legs, but also to increase some space in between the shoulders. As you feel ready, taking your right hand down to that block, taking your left arm over the head and breathing here. Now bend at that elbow. Begin to turn towards that elbow as you lengthen across the chest. Inhale, float that arm on up. Exhale, release that hand on down. Okay. From here, you're going to take both of your legs and you're going to bring both of your legs over to the right side. So to do that, you can come forward. You bring both your feet over towards your right. You can change the height of the block to the lowest setting and have a seat again on that block. So now, this should be okay on the knees. For most of us, this should be okay. You're going to take your block and you're going to place it over towards your, or rather, kind of slightly behind you. And you'll take your hands and bring them to your thighs. So in this pose, this is a pose, it's a twisting pose. In this pose, you want to see that your sit bones are releasing down towards the mat. Your left buttocks is on the block. Your right buttocks is actually moving towards your left heel. So your right buttocks is kind of off the block a little bit. And then from here, you take your hands, interlace the fingers, press your palms forward in front of you, raise your arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Now turn your chest over towards the left side of the room, press down through the shins, look on up, release your left hand back behind you on the block, take your right arm, cross it over your left thigh, and turn your chest here. Look over your left shoulder this time. See that your weight is even in your hips. See that you move your weight towards your right buttocks. And then inhale, lift those arms on up. And exhale, bring those hands to the sides. Okay. So let us, while we're here in this pose, take our right leg, bring our right leg to a bent position, walk your buttocks onto the blocks. So now both your buttocks are on the blocks. You're going to take your right leg, you're going to cross it over top of your left leg, just like this. So right foot crosses over the left, and then you're going to hold on to your knees. Or you're going to hold on to your left knee. And as you hold on to the knee, lift the chest up. See if you could turn the chest any amount towards the right side. This is called Lord of the Fish pose, half Lord of the Fish pose. Ardha Matsyendrasana pose. So turn your chest over to the right and see that you breathe into your right hip. Maybe take your right hand and place it behind you or to your side. Come back to center here. Uncross the legs, okay? Scoot your buttocks over. Take your right leg, bend your right knee, release your right foot on down. Take your left leg, bend your left knee, release your left leg on down. And then you're gonna have a seat here on your blocks, okay? The right buttocks is on the block, the left buttocks is off the block. Interlace the fingers at the center chest. Press your palms forward, lift the arms up, turn your chest over to the right. And as you release the hands down, your right hand comes on the block behind you, your left hand crosses over your right thigh. And turn your chest. And as you inhale, lengthen on up. Okay. So we come back to center here. We begin by seeing that both buttocks are on the block and then taking the left leg and bringing it over top of the right, just like this, and holding on to that left shin. So as you hold on to the left shin, you're breathing into the hips, and you turn your chest over your left shoulder. So you could stay here, or if you'd like, you could hold onto your left leg with your right hand, and you could place your left hand back and behind you. And breathe here. Excellent, yogis. Okay. So from here, what you're going to do is you're going to come off of your block. You're going to place your block off to the side and again take a downward facing dog pose. So downward facing dog pose, walk the feet wider apart once again and release that head on down. And breathe here. So allow the fingers to press on down. If the weight's in the wrist, see that you allow the forearms to continue to lift up and feel the weight also in the heels too. So the weight should be moving towards the fingers and towards the heels, not staying in the wrist. So breathing here for another couple breaths. And then as you exhale, release those knees on down to the earth. Release your knees all the way down to the earth. Okay. So from here, what I'm going to have you guys do is take your forearms down to the mat. Walk your left leg back and breathe here for a second. Just extend off of the left leg. Release the head. And breathe here. So this is a forearm variation. It's just to kind of stretch out the right side of the body. Then you'll bring the left knee to a bend. You'll extend that right leg on back and breathe here. And release that knee on down. Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to take ourselves, we're going to shift our legs forward, find our way onto our back, hug your knees into the chest once again, and release that head on down. Okay? Lying on your back, you can roll the head right and left just a couple of times to release any neck pressure. Good. Okay, release your feet down to the earth. Release your feet down to your mat. And take your hands and hold on to the outer edges of the mat. Like we started with in today's practice, roll over to the right and roll your left upper arm underneath you. Roll over to the left and roll your right upper arm underneath you. So you should feel your center chest lifting up towards the ceiling. And as you press down through your feet, begin to lift your buttocks towards the backs of your heels. Now, see that your outer thighs are revolving in. Drive your inner thighs down to the mat as you hug your belly in. And breathe here. So this is called bridge pose. Satubandha Sarvangasana. Good, and as you exhale, lower that tailbone on down. So we're going to take this pose again. If you have a block, place a block underneath your tailbone, either on the lowest or the medium setting. Your choice, lowest or medium setting here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to draw your right knee into a bent position and take your right leg all the way up towards the ceiling here. So this requires a little bit of effort. You're pressing down through the left ball of the foot. Your right outer thigh is revolving in. You're pressing your right hip away from you. And you're lengthening your right heel all the way up towards the ceiling here as you breathe. Drawing that right knee back to a bend, releasing that right foot on down. Left knee comes in, left leg extends all the way up towards the ceiling here. Press down through the right ball of the foot, spin the left outer thigh in, and breathe here as you lengthen across your chest. Firming in through the belly, lengthening up through that leg, and continuing to breathe here. And as you exhale, bending that knee and releasing that leg on down. Okay. Now, lower that block to the lowest setting here. Lower the block to the lowest setting. So it's on the medium setting, lower it all the way to the lowest setting. You're going to take both of your knees and bring both of your knees into a bent position, and you're going to lift both of your feet up. So it's okay here if you're feeling like the weight is drawing towards your shoulders, that's fine. The knees can remain a little bit bent here, and you're just looking at those feet. So breathe here. This is actually a pose that we take sometimes. It's a good pose to just release tension in the legs, especially for circulation purposes. And if you ever have lower back tension, this is a great pose to take. Even if you feel like when you sit a lot or anything like that, this is one of those poses that you take it and it really helps to alleviate tension in the back of the body. So you could take this pose anywhere between 1 and 3 minutes. Just letting that breath be long and slow here. This is called an inversion. And I haven't taught too many inversions in this class as a level 1 class. but it is good to take inversions every now and then, even in the morning time, because inversions just help to change our perspective. Sometimes when we have one perspective for such a long period of time, we lose sight of ourselves. We lose sight of our practice. So when we take our legs up, sometimes it's nice to just get a different perspective. And then as you feel ready, lowering those feet down onto the mat. Now press down through the feet, lift up the pelvis, lower the pelvis all the way down. Take your right knee in, bring your right knee to the chest, and then bring your right foot over the top of your left thigh. As you bring your right foot over the left thigh, press your right thigh away from you. Take your arms, bring your arms out to the sides, and roll your legs over towards your left side. And breathe here. Breathe into those legs. And breathe into the body. Inhale, come back to center. Release the right foot down. Hug the left knee in and bring the left foot over the right thigh. And then this time now, you're gonna bring your hips over, walk them over towards your left, and then bring that bring that left foot on down. So these are just some simple twisting poses that we take in order to release tension in the hips. And also, we take this variation of the pose to open up the groin. And then once again, knees come back to center. And then scoot the knees over to the right as you bring both your knees over to the left. Now, if you want, you could take your left foot and place it over top of your right thigh. This is called figure four pose. It's a pose that oftentimes we take to allow the hip flexors to release. So this is one of those poses you could take for your hip flexors. And as with the head, you can turn the head to the opposite side. And breathe here. And then as you come back to center, taking your feet back, and then rolling your legs over the other side. So this time, as you feel ready, taking your right foot and placing it over top of your left thigh. And breathe. And allowing yourself to be open to your breath, your body, and your chest. And then as you come back to center here, you'll release those feet down onto the mat and you'll begin. You know, this is actually a good way to end the class. You could take your feet, bring your feet together and bring your knees apart, but have blocks underneath your knees. And this is called Supta Baddha Konasana. And we take this pose to release tension and pressure in our hips. And we're not going to be here for long. We're just going to be here for 20 seconds or so to just allow for the hips to release. And allow for the groins to release. And as you feel ready, you can begin to fully lengthen your legs on forward. And take your blocks, place them out to your sides, and turn your palms up towards the ceiling here. And release. And as we take Shavasana pose, again, you can let your shoulders roll underneath you to let the center chest lift up towards the ceiling. So we can do that action again as we breathe. And you'll be here for one more minute. And just observe your breath. Let go of holding. Let go of attachment. Just let yourself relax. So much of the yoga is developed through this space of relaxing and releasing. And as you feel ready, bring those knees to a bend and roll over onto your side. And press your way up. And find your way into a seated position. So we take ourselves back into a cross-legged pose. We bring our hands into the center chest. And then as we exhale, we release the head down and we say namaste. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful day today. My name is Jason. This was our Vinyasa Flow Level 1 class. So a really nice little flow today. I hope you guys enjoyed the practice. And Dawn and Gail, amazing to have you guys join the class. So thank you guys so much. Anybody else who is joining, hope you have a really nice morning. And I will look forward to seeing you guys all very soon once again. So have a very happy and healthy day. And I'll look forward to talking with you all soon. So thank you guys so much. Yes, hope you have a wonderful day. So thank you, Gail. Have a wonderful day. And Dawn, have a wonderful day. And yes, guys, I'll be here in a few days. So we'll see each other very soon. So namaste, yogis. Bye. Excellent. Bye, guys. See you at 3.